Reincarnation is a huge deal with these fallen angels. In fact, they reincarnate every so often. Now, I can't remember what determines their cycle and how often they come about, but usually it's said when they're needed. And it's not always in the same increments. For instance, they might reincarnate every 100 years or every 500 years or 750 years. They've been around since the dawn of time. Now, as far as these cycles go, there are 3 of them, but in their first cycle, they can live up to 100 years old. They're said to be resistant to most human diseases, which means they won't get sick from things like bloodborne illnesses, but they're also said to be able to heal very quickly. There's not a lot of things that could kill them if you were to meet them. This doesn't mean that they're invulnerable, though. Now, although we don't know the increments in which they reincarnate, we do know that at least in their first cycle, they can live to at least 100 years old. Sometimes it can go a bit longer than that, depending on the permission they get from their higher council, if they're allowed to go that long. Usually that is about how long they live before they go into their next cycle. And then eventually they will reincarnate, but usually they have to go through all 3 before they get to that point. But anyways, to answer your question, yes, reincarnation is such a big deal amongst these guys. In fact, it is their way of existing. They're not immortal, although some can be, but typically they have to come back into cycle. But yes, as far as reincarnation goes, you might consider that their avenue to immortality. They don't live forever, although they can live beyond that 100 years. Like I mentioned, it just depends on their permission. But immortality is relative to them. It just depends on their cycle. So in a sense, their blood is what keeps them immortal, but they don't keep a physical form forever. So these guys can look different across different time periods. They're not always going to be the same race. They're always going to have the same memories if they unlock them. But generally speaking, they stay for that 100 years. They expire. They go on to the next cycle. And when they're needed again, they'll come back. But anyways, drop your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you guys are thinking about this. Do you know the history of the Fallen and their ability to reincarnate? And let me know if you like this History of the Fallen series, and I will see you guys in my next video.